The studio lights were unforgiving. Professor Richard Dalton stood at center stage, arms crossed, staring down at the small figure in front of him. 9-year-old Maya Carter clutched the straps of her backpack faded purple, with a cartoon character peeling off the front. Her hoodie sleeves hung past her fingertips. She looked tiny under those bright white lights. "Sweetheart," Dalton said, his voice dripping with condescension, "maybe you should sit this one out. This competition isn't for, well, let's just say it requires a certain level of academic foundation." Maya's throat tightened. She could feel every pair of eyes in the studio on her. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Someone coughed. The silence that followed felt like judgment. In the front row, Maya's grandmother, Dorothy Carter, sat with her hands folded tightly in her lap. A floral headscarf covered her head. Chemotherapy had taken her hair months ago. Her fingers trembled slightly, but her eyes were steady, locked on her granddaughter. Professor Dalton turned to face the cameras. "We have standards here at MathGenius Live. This isn't a charity event. This is serious competitive mathematics." Twitter exploded. Within minutes, the hashtag number "Let Maya Compete" was trending. 50,000 tweets in 3 minutes. Comments flooded in from across the country. Parents, teachers, former students, all demanding the same thing. Give the girl a chance. But Maya just stood there, blinking back tears, wondering if maybe everyone was right. Maybe she didn't belong here. Before we go deeper into this story, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like, and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. To understand what happened that night, how a 9-year-old girl with a cracked phone screen and a library card took on one of the most arrogant men in academic mathematics, you need to know 3 things. Who Maya Carter really was, how MathGenius Live actually worked, and why Professor Richard Dalton had the power to destroy young dreams on national television. 4 weeks earlier, Maya sat at a wobbly kitchen table in a small apartment on the east side of Detroit. It was past 11 at night. Her laptop, secondhand, bought from a pawn shop for $40, was open to a free online math tutorial. Behind her, on a sagging couch, her grandmother slept fitfully, oxygen tubes in her nose, a thin blanket pulled up to her chin. Maya wasn't supposed to be a math prodigy. She was supposed to be just another kid from a forgotten neighborhood, another statistic, another name on a roster nobody cared about. But when she was 7 years old, her mother died. Car accident, head-on collision with a drunk driver on I-94. Maya moved in with Dorothy, a retired nurse, living on Social Security and drowning in medical debt. That same year, Maya discovered something that changed everything. When she did math, the world made sense. Numbers didn't care if you were poor. Equations didn't care what color your skin was or where you lived. 2 plus 2 was always 4. Whether you solved it in a mansion in Bloomfield Hills or a 1-bedroom apartment with water stains spreading across the ceiling. She taught herself algebra from YouTube videos. She learned geometry from library books, with torn covers and missing pages. At 8 years old, she solved a problem that typically stumped high school juniors. Her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, nearly fell out of her chair. "Maya," she'd said, holding up the paper, "where did you learn this?" "YouTube," Maya had answered quietly. "And the library." Mrs. Patterson started giving her harder problems. College-level stuff. Maya solved them all. When MathGenius Live announced they were holding auditions for their new season, Mrs. Patterson practically begged Maya to apply. "You're brilliant, sweetheart. The world needs to see that." Maya's application video was filmed on a phone with a cracked screen. The lighting was terrible, just the overhead bulb in their kitchen. Her voice shook with hope and fear. "My name is Maya Carter. I'm 9 years old. I want to win the $500,000 so I can save my grandma." She didn't mention that her grandmother had stage 3 lung cancer. She didn't mention that the treatment Dorothy needed cost nearly $500,000. She didn't mention that insurance had covered barely a fraction of it, or that Dorothy had quietly stopped going to her appointments to save money for Maya's future. She just said she wanted to save her grandma. The video went viral. 4 million views, in 36 hours. People shared it across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The pressure on MathGenius Live producers became unbearable. Cable news picked it up. Local news stations ran segments. A Detroit city councilman tweeted about it. The producers had no choice. They had to let her compete. MathGenius Live wasn't just a math competition. It was a spectacle, a gladiator arena where contestants solved equations under crushing psychological pressure while millions watched from home. Every Friday night at 8 p.m., the show aired live. The format was simple but brutal. Round 1, 10 contestants, 3 problems, 15 minutes. The top 5 advance. Round 2, each of the 5 remaining contestants chooses a judge. That judge creates a custom challenge problem just for them. 20 minutes to solve it on a whiteboard, live on camera, with no help. One mistake, and you're eliminated in front of the entire nation. The finals. The 2 survivors face 5 increasingly difficult problems. Highest combined score wins $500,000. But the real drama came from the judges, especially Professor Richard Dalton. Compilation clips from previous seasons told you everything you needed to know. Dalton speaking to a young Hispanic contestant. Are you sure you understand this terminology? Perhaps it translates differently in Spanish. Dalton, addressing a black teenager from Atlanta, his voice dripping with fake encouragement. I admire your confidence. Of course, confidence isn't the same as competence, but it's a start. Dalton speaking to a white student from Phillips Exeter Academy, his entire demeanor shifting. Now this is what real preparation looks like. Excellent pedigree. Excellent foundation. Over 3 seasons, Professor Dalton had eliminated 24 contestants who'd chosen him as their judge. 24 out of 26. Here's what nobody wanted to say out loud. 19 of them were people of color. 13 were women. 21 came from low-income families. But the ratings were phenomenal. So, the network kept him. Back in that Detroit apartment, a hospital billing statement sat on the kitchen table. Dorothy had tried to hide it under a stack of mail, but Maya had seen it. Amount due: $487,000. Stage 3, lung cancer. The treatment Dorothy needed, the real treatment, the kind that might actually save her life, would cost nearly $500,000. Insurance had covered a fraction. Dorothy had refused further treatment to preserve what little money remained for Maya's future. When Maya found out, she made a decision. She would win MathGenius Live. She would save her grandmother. Nothing would stop her. Not poverty, not prejudice, not Professor Richard Dalton. Round 1 aired 3 weeks before that moment of public humiliation. Maya solved all 3 problems in 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Second fastest time in the show's history. Professor Dalton wasn't impressed. On camera, he'd said, "Speed is notable, but in real mathematics, speed often masks shallow understanding. We'll see in round 2 whether this is genuine talent or simple memorization." The results screen showed the 5 finalists advancing. Maya Carter, 9, Detroit Public Schools. Connor Sterling, 16, Phillips Exeter Academy. Dr. Jennifer Park, 24, MIT PhD candidate. Daniel Brooks, 19, returning champion. Thomas Reed, 14, son of a Princeton mathematics professor. Round 2 was where dreams died, because in round 2, you had to pick your judge. And everyone knew the unspoken rule: pick Dalton and you're finished. Twitter flooded with warnings. Number Don't Pick Dalton trended for 6 hours. Former contestants shared their stories, their trauma. Think pieces analyzed his pattern of eliminations. Data scientists created visualizations showing the demographic breakdown of who he'd destroyed. But Maya Carter wasn't like everyone else. She had something they didn't: desperation. And desperation makes you brave. Or stupid. Sometimes both. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The studio lights dimmed. Dramatic orchestral music filled the air, the kind that makes your heart beat faster, even when you're just sitting on your couch at home. Sarah Mitchell, the host, stood center stage in a sleek navy dress, microphone in hand. Welcome back to MathGenius Live. Round 2 begins now. 5 contestants remain. Only 2 will advance to the finals. The camera pans slowly across 5 contestants standing in individual spotlights. Each one looked terrified in their own way. Connor Sterling stood with military posture, jaw clenched. Jennifer Park's hands were clasped behind her back to hide their shaking. Daniel Brooks stared straight ahead, unblinking. Thomas Reed kept swallowing hard. And then there was Maya. Small, young, drowning in an oversized hoodie. Sarah's voice dropped to a near whisper that somehow felt louder than shouting. The rules are simple. Each contestant will choose one judge. That judge will create a challenge equation specifically designed for you. You'll have 20 minutes to solve it on the whiteboard, live, in front of millions of viewers. She paused. A heartbeat sound effect pulsed through the speakers, thump, 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 thump. If you solve it correctly, you advance to the finals. If you make even one mistake, you are eliminated immediately. The 3 judges sat at their elevated table. Dr. Elena Rodriguez smiled warmly. She had a reputation for being tough but fair. Guest judge Dr. Marcus Collins maintained a neutral expression, and Professor Richard Dalton leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled, studying each contestant like insects pinned to a board. Sarah checked her note cards. We'll proceed in age order. Youngest first. She looked up. Maya Carter, please step forward. Maya walked to center stage. Each step felt like moving through water. Her backpack, the one with the cartoon character, hung from one shoulder. The camera zoomed in tight on her face. She was trembling. Sarah smiled gently. Maya, please choose your judge. The audience immediately started murmuring. Someone whispered loud enough for the microphones to catch. Please don't pick Dalton. Please, baby, don't. Maya looked at Dr. Rodriguez. Rodriguez gave her a small, encouraging nod. The safe choice. The fair judge. The high probability of success. Then Maya looked at Professor Dalton. He was smirking. That same expression from earlier, the one that said she was out of her depth, that she didn't belong here, that kids like her from neighborhoods like hers had no business standing on this stage. In the front row, Dorothy shook her head slightly. Her lips moved. Don't do it, baby. Don't. Twitter was exploding in real time. The feed scrolled across the bottom of the screen. Maya, no. Pick Rodriguez. Pick Rodriguez. Pick Rodriguez. This child is about to make a huge mistake. Maya's internal voice, the one only she could hear, was screaming at her. Everyone told you to pick Rodriguez. She's fair. She wants students to succeed. Pick her. Be smart. Be safe. But there was another voice, quieter, angrier. Dalton is the one who doesn't believe in you. Dalton is the one who said kids like you don't belong here. And you need to prove not to him, but to yourself, that he's wrong. Maya's voice came out small but clear. I choose Professor Dalton. The audience gasped. An audible, no, came from somewhere in the back rows. Professor Dalton leaned back even further in his chair. His smile widened, not friendly, predatory. Ah, he said slowly. The bravest contestant we've had this season. Or perhaps, he paused for effect. The most naive. I suppose we'll find out soon enough. Sarah tried to maintain her professional composure, but concern flashed across her face. Professor Dalton, please present Maya's challenge equation. Dalton stood slowly. He walked to the massive LED screen like a man with all the time in the world. He picked up the digital stylus with theatrical precision. The camera caught Maya's face. For just a second, doubt flickered across it. What have I done? Dalton began writing. The equation appeared on screen line by line, each symbol materializing like a death sentence. To most viewers at home, it looked like hieroglyphics. Random symbols, meaningless notation, But to anyone who actually knew mathematics, it was instantly clear. This was undergraduate-level number theory. For a 9-year-old. In the commentary booth, Dr. Lisa Chang, the show's mathematics expert, whispered into her microphone, "Oh my God, this is twin prime theory combined with modular arithmetic. This is absolutely brutal for her age level." Dalton set down the stylus. He turned to Maya with that smile. "Maya, sweetheart, I know you learned mathematics from social media videos, but I'm afraid there probably aren't tutorials on modular arithmetic at this level of complexity." He tilted his head with mock sympathy. "If you'd like to withdraw now, I completely understand. No one will think less of you." The clock appeared on screen. 20. The countdown hadn't started yet. Maya looked at the equation, then at her grandmother, then back at Dalton. "I want to try." Dalton's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Of course you do." He nodded to Sarah. 20 minutes, Sarah announced. "Starting. Now." The clock began ticking. 20. 1959. 1958. Tick, tick, tick. What Professor Dalton didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that Maya had spent the last 3 years studying everything he'd ever published. Every paper, every proof, every equation. She knew how he thought. She understood his patterns, his assumptions, his blind spots. And she knew exactly where he always made the same mistake. The question was, would she find it in time? The clock read 20. Maya stood at the whiteboard, blue marker in her hand, staring at the equation like it was written in a foreign language. She didn't write anything, just stared. In the commentary booth, Dr. Chang whispered, "She seems frozen. This might be overwhelming for someone her age." Professor Dalton sat back in his chair, arms crossed, radiating smug satisfaction. "Take your time, Maya," he said, his voice dripping with false encouragement. "No rush at all." In the audience, Dorothy whispered to the woman next to her, "She's not frozen. She's thinking." Because that's what Maya always did. Before she wrote a single symbol, she thought. She broke things down in her mind. She looked for patterns. She asked questions nobody else thought to ask. Everyone watching thought she was panicking, but she wasn't. She was doing what Dorothy had taught her since she was little. Step 1. Break it down into pieces you can understand. Maya began writing in the corner of the whiteboard, not the solution yet, just notes. Questions to herself. Does the mod 12 condition create a special subset? Or does it apply to all twin primes greater than 3? In the commentary booth, Dr. Chang perked up. "Wait, she's questioning the premise of the problem itself. That's actually sophisticated mathematical thinking." 5 minutes passed. 15 remaining. Maya started writing more clearly now. She listed out all the twin primes between 100 and 200, 101 and 103, 107 and 109, 137 and 139, 149 and 151, 179 and 181, 191 and 193, 197 and 199, largest. The camera zoomed in on her list. Clean, organized, methodical. Professor Dalton frowned slightly. "She's just listing numbers. That's not a proof." Dr. Rodriguez couldn't help herself. "No, she's being systematic. That's actually exactly what you're supposed to do." Maya checked the smallest pair. 101 squared plus 103 squared equals 20,810. 20,000. 810 mod. 12 equals 2. She did the same calculation for the largest pair. 197 squared plus 199 squared equals 78,410. 78,410. Mod 12 equals 2. Dr. Chang was getting excited now. She's manually verifying the endpoints. This is smart. This is really smart. 8 remaining. Maya moved to the center of the board. She wrote in large, clear letters. Proof that p squared plus p plus 2 squared is equivalent to 2 mod 12 for all twin primes, p is greater than 3. She started with pure logic. For p is greater than 3 to be prime, p must be odd. For both p and p plus 2 to be prime, we need to check which remainders mod 12 actually work. She worked through each case. If p is equivalent to 1 mod 12, then p plus 2 is equivalent to 3 mod 12, divisible by 3. If p is equivalent to 3 mod 12, then p itself is divisible by 3. If p is equivalent to 5 mod 12, then p plus 2 is equivalent to 7 mod 12. Both can be prime. She continued the pattern systematically, checking every possible remainder. The conclusion became clear. For twin primes, p must be is equivalent to 5 or 1 mod 12. There are no other options. Final step. If p is equivalent to 5 mod 12, p squared is equivalent to 1 mod 12. P plus 2 squared is equivalent to 1 mod 12. Total is equivalent to 2 mod 12. If p is equivalent to 1 mod 12, same result. Total is equivalent to 2 mod 12. She wrote in large letters at the bottom. Q, E, D, proven. 4, remaining. Now came the trap. The part Dalton thought would destroy her. Maya wrote at the very bottom of the board, in clear, simple language. Answer. Because the mod 12 condition is true for all twin primes greater than 3, the question of finding the largest that satisfies this condition is identical to finding the largest twin prime in the given range. The largest is 197 and 199. The condition doesn't create a special subset. It doesn't filter anything out. It's universally true. Maya set down the marker. 0. 15 remaining. She turned to face the judges, exhausted but steady. Silence. For 3 full seconds, nobody spoke. Then someone in the audience started clapping, slow at first. Then another person joined. Then another. The studio erupted. Sarah tried to maintain control. Professor Dalton, please evaluate Maya's solution. Dalton stood slowly. He walked to the whiteboard. He examined each line carefully. 30 seconds of reading. The camera caught every micro-expression. Confidence fading to confusion. Confusion shifting to tension. Tension hardening into something that looked like anger. You checked all the twin primes manually, he said flatly. Yes, sir. And you concluded that the modular condition doesn't create a special case. Maya's voice was clear and firm. Yes, sir, because it's true for all twin primes bigger than 3. You asked for the largest that satisfies the condition. So that's just the largest twin prime in the range. There's nothing special about it. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward. She's correct. Completely correct. In the commentary booth, Dr. Chang was nearly shouting into her microphone. A 9-year-old just solved university-level number theory in 19 minutes. This is extraordinary. Professor Dalton's face had gone red. He turned back to his seat without making eye contact with Maya. The proof is acceptable, he said through clenched teeth. But this was only round 2. The finals will be significantly more challenging. He sat down stiffly, arms crossed. Sarah read from her card, trying to keep her voice steady. Maya Carter has passed. She advances to the finals. The audience exploded. Dorothy collapsed forward, sobbing into her hands. Other audience members were hugging each other, crying, cheering. Twitter went absolutely insane. Number: Maya, the genius. 500,000 tweets in 10 minutes. Number: Dalton exposed. Trending globally. What Maya had done wasn't magic. It was method. She didn't panic. She broke the problem into manageable pieces. She listed the data systematically. She checked the extremes. She proved the pattern. She spotted the trap. That's not genius. That's discipline. Discipline beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Backstage, Sarah pulled Maya aside while the crew prepared for the next contestant. Maya, honey, you need to hear this. Sarah held up her phone. showing the Twitter feed. People dug up Professor Dalton's history. 19 of the 24 contestants he eliminated were people of color. The producers are investigating right now. Maya's eyes went wide. Sarah crouched down to Maya's eye level. In the finals, he'll be one of the 3 judges scoring your work. And after what you just did to him on national television, he's going to come for you even harder. Maya swallowed hard. What should I do? Sarah squeezed her shoulder. Exactly what you just did. Trust the math. The math doesn't lie. Within 24 hours, the backlash was everywhere. Number Dalton history trended #1 globally. A TikTok user compiled all 24 eliminations into a single video. The pattern was undeniable. Asterisk, 19 people of color. Asterisk, 13 women. Asterisk 21, from low-income backgrounds. 4 million views overnight. Split-screen comparisons went viral. Dalton's gentle, encouraging tone with wealthy white contestants versus his condescending, dismissive voice with minorities. The contrast was damning. A YouTube channel uploaded a supercut titled, "Every Time Professor Dalton Said, You Don't Belong," 2.3 million views in 6 hours. A celebrity with 30 million Instagram followers posted, "A 9-year-old just exposed systemic bias in mathematics education on live TV, and I am here for it. Maya Carter. Remember that name." The studio went into damage control mode. They issued a carefully worded statement. "We are committed to fair judging practices and are reviewing all previous eliminations." They didn't mention Dalton by name, but everyone knew. The finals would air in 3 days. Friday night, prime time. Expected viewership, 3.5 million. 3.5 million people would watch Maya either win $500,000, enough to save Dorothy's life, or fail on the biggest stage in America. Before we continue, take a second and share your thoughts so far on this story below. I read every single one. Back in Detroit, Dorothy was getting chemotherapy at the county hospital. She sat in a plastic chair with an IV in her arm, watching MathGenius highlights on her phone. The doctor had been blunt. Without treatment, maybe 6 months. With treatment, the real treatment, the kind that cost $500,000, maybe 5 years. Dorothy had stopped going to appointments 3 months ago. She'd made her choice. Maya's future mattered more than her own life. But now, Maya was trying to save them both. 9 years old, carrying the weight of her grandmother's survival on her small shoulders. Day 1 of preparation. A cheap motel room near the studio. $42 a night. Thin walls. Stained carpet. A window air conditioner that rattled like it might fall out at any moment. Maya sat cross-legged on the bed. Laptop open. Dorothy sat beside her. "Grandma, the Wi-Fi keeps cutting out. I can't load the tutorial videos." "Use your phone's hotspot, baby." "We're almost out of data for the month." Dorothy pulled Maya close. "We'll figure it out. We always do." While Connor Sterling was probably studying in his family's Connecticut estate with private tutors and unlimited resources, Maya was in a motel room with spotty internet, fighting just to access the same information. That night, someone knocked on their door. It was Sarah Mitchell, the show's host. "Can I come in?" Inside, 2 other women stood waiting. Dr. Elena Rodriguez and Dr. Patricia Crawford. Maya recognized Dr. Crawford. She'd been a contestant on season 2. Professor Dalton had eliminated her. "Maya," Dr. Crawford said, sitting on the edge of the bed, "I know what you're up against. Dalton gave me a problem with deliberately ambiguous notation. When I asked for clarification, he said a real mathematician wouldn't need to ask. I was eliminated in 12 minutes. Dr. Rodriguez opened her laptop, showing a spreadsheet. Every problem Dalton had ever given, categorized by type. "Look at the patterns," Rodriguez said. "Trap type 1, ambiguous notation, 8 problems. Trap type 2, excessive conditions that don't actually matter, 6 problems. Trap type 3, Asking 2 questions where only one is relevant. 5 problems. Dr. Crawford leaned forward. He doesn't create unsolvable problems. He creates unfair problems. Problems designed to make you doubt yourself, to make you think you're not smart enough. Rodriguez nodded. The key is recognizing which parts actually matter. Strip away the noise. Find the real question hiding underneath. Maya studied the spreadsheet like her life depended on it. Because it did. Day 2. MathGenius Studio. Open practice session. 50,000 people watching the live stream on YouTube. Maya was working through practice problems on a whiteboard when Professor Dalton entered unannounced. "I thought I'd give both finalists a practice challenge," he said, his voice carrying across the studio. He wrote on the main screen, "Prove or disprove there exists no positive integer n such that n squared plus n plus 41 is divisible by 100. Maya worked for 10 minutes, trying different values, checking patterns, looking for counterexamples. 15 minutes passed. She was struggling. Connor was struggling too. "Time's up," Dalton announced. "Do either of you have an answer?" Maya hesitated. I couldn't find a counterexample, but I also can't prove it's always true." Dalton smiled that predatory smile. "That's because this problem is meaningless." He turned to the camera. The expression n squared plus n plus 41 is famous for generating prime numbers when n is small, but asking about divisibility by 100 is completely arbitrary. This is what I call a noise problem, designed to waste your time. He looked directly at Maya. In the finals, not every problem will have a solution. Sometimes, the correct answer is recognizing that the question itself is flawed. He paused for effect. But can a 9-year-old who learned from YouTube recognize that? Maya's eyes filled with tears. Her hands started shaking. Twitter exploded. Number, "Stop Bullying Maya," trending. This is child abuse on live television. Major sponsors threatened to pull funding. MathGenius issued another statement. Professor Dalton will not participate in further practice sessions. But the damage was done. Maya's confidence was shattered. The finals were in 24 hours. 72 hours before the finals. 2 completely different worlds, preparing for the same battle. Connor Sterling's mansion in Connecticut. A private study with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Mahogany desk. 3 computer monitors displaying different problem sets. Connor's father stood in the doorway. "Son, I've hired Dr. Steinberg from Yale to tutor you for the next 3 days. 2 hours on topology, 2 hours on number theory, 2 hours on combinatorics. You'll be ready." A distinguished professor entered, carrying textbooks that probably cost more than Maya's entire wardrobe. Maya's motel room in Detroit. Maya sat on the floor, laptop balanced on a stack of phone books, notebook beside her. The Wi-Fi cut out mid-video. "Not again," she whispered. She rebooted the router, waited 3 minutes, finally reconnected. While Connor studied in comfort, Maya was fighting just to access the same information. But Maya had something Connor didn't. A playlist of advanced math tutorial videos created by former Olympiad champions. People who'd succeeded without privilege, who shared their knowledge for free. She watched intently, taking notes in a worn spiral notebook. Then her laptop battery died. The charger was broken, frayed wire, exposed copper. "Grandma, I can't keep studying. The laptop's dead." Dorothy looked at the broken charger. "I can get a new one tomorrow, baby." "We don't have time. Finals are in 2 days." Maya used her phone for the rest of the night, squinting at the small screen, battery draining fast. Day 3. Morning. Connor practiced with a full simulation setup. Whiteboard, timer, cameras, replicating the exact conditions of the show. Dr. Steinberg nodded approvingly. "Excellent. Your approach to the Fermat problem was textbook perfect." But then, Connor got arrogant. He rushed through a practice problem, made a careless error. Dr. Steinberg's voice turned stern. "This is why you lost nationals last year. Hubris. Fix it." Connor's face reddened. He started over, more carefully this time. Social media pressure built exponentially. Day 1. Maya's round 2 solution became a meme. When a 9-year-old does in 19 minutes what took me 4 years to understand. Hashtags emerged. Number Team Maya versus Number Team Connor. The media narrative solidified. Prodigy from poverty versus privileged champion. Day 2. News outlets everywhere picked up the story. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, everyone ran segments. MathGenius Finals. David versus Goliath. Maya's elementary school announced a watch party. Hundreds of students would gather in the gymnasium. Betting sites set odds. Connor 65%, Maya 35%. Day 3. Dalton's pattern of eliminating minorities went mainstream. Featured on morning talk shows, think pieces in the New York Times and Washington Post. MathGenius released another statement. We're committed to fair judging. They still didn't mention Dalton by name. Sarah Mitchell tweeted cryptically, "Some stories deserve a fairy tale ending. Tune in Friday." Maya's obstacles kept multiplying. 24 hours before the finals, her laptop died completely. Wouldn't turn on at all. Connor probably had 3 backup computers. Maya had a library card. She and Dorothy took the bus to the Detroit Public Library. Maya studied on a shared computer, 2-hour time limit, waiting in line between sessions. Late that night in the motel, Maya overheard Dorothy on the phone with the hospital billing office. Dorothy's whisper carried through the thin walls. "I understand the payment is overdue. I'm doing everything I can. Please, just 1 more month." Maya stood in the bathroom doorway, tears streaming down her face. The weight of what was at stake was crushing. People kept saying, "Just do your best, Maya. Have fun." But they didn't understand. This wasn't about fun. This was life or death. Twitter trolls started appearing in Maya's mentions. She got lucky in round 2. Finals will expose her. Connor is going to destroy her. This is embarrassing. Why is a 9-year-old even allowed to compete? This is a publicity stunt. Sarah Mitchell secretly sent Maya a text. "Don't read the comments. Focus on the math. You've got this." Night 2. Dr. Rodriguez's apartment. Maya and Dorothy arrived to find Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Crawford waiting with laptops open. "Maya, we need to talk about worst-case scenarios," Rodriguez said. "What if Dalton's problem in the finals is genuinely impossible within the time limit?" Maya thought carefully. "Then I say it's impossible," Dr. Crawford challenged her. "And if he says you're wrong, then I ask him to solve it himself." Rodriguez and Crawford exchanged impressed glances. "Good," Rodriguez said. "That's exactly right. The new judge accountability rule is your shield. Use it." They practiced mock scenarios. Rodriguez played Dalton, throwing out condescending comments. "This problem is solvable. You simply don't have the foundation." Maya practiced her response. "Then please show the audience the solution, sir, so we can all learn." Dr. Crawford nodded. "Better, but say it without anger. Stay calm. Make him prove himself." The contrast between the 2 finalists deepened with each passing day. Day 3. Morning. Connor ate a catered breakfast, reviewing notes from his tutor's 300-page strategy binder. Maya ate instant ramen, reviewing her handwritten notes in a $2 notebook from Dollar General. Day 3. Afternoon. Connor was driven to the studio in a private car, arriving in a tailored blazer. Maya took the subway with Dorothy, who was visibly exhausted from chemo. Maya arrived in the same hoodie she'd been wearing all week, washed in the motel sink the night before. 6 hours before the finals. At the library, Maya was reading an old textbook, the library's only copy of Introduction to Number Theory, published in 1991. Outdated, but still useful. She stumbled across a chapter about cubic residues modulo primes. And that's when she understood what Dr. Rodriguez had meant about Dalton's blind spot. She read carefully. For the equation x cubed is equivalent to a mod p, where p is prime. The equation has solutions if and only if A, P1, GCD3, P1 is equivalent to 1 mod P. She wrote in her notebook. Check. If P1 is not divisible by 3, the condition becomes weird. Could be a trap. 2 hours before showtime. Backstage at MathGenius Studios. Maya sat alone in a small dressing room, hands shaking. She was doing the breathing exercises Dorothy had taught her. A knock at the door. Sarah entered. "How are you feeling?" Maya was honest. "Terrified." "Good. You should be. This is the biggest moment of your life." Sarah paused, choosing her words carefully. "But I need you to know something. Win or lose tonight, you've already changed everything. There are millions of little girls watching who look like you, who grew up like you, and they're seeing that they belong in spaces they were told they didn't." Sarah crouched to Maya's eye level. "So, when you walk out there, you're not just representing yourself. You're representing every kid who was told they weren't good enough. Don't carry that as pressure. Carry it as power." 30 minutes before showtime. A production assistant delivered a package. "This just arrived for you." Maya opened it. Inside, a brand new scientific calculator and a note. "From your classmates at Washington Elementary. We believe in you, Mrs. Patterson's 4th grade class." Attached were 28 handwritten notes from kids. "You're the smartest person I know, Jamal. Beat that rich kid, Aisha. Make our school proud, Antonio." Maya clutched the calculator, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't alone. She never was. 10 minutes to airtime. Maya stood in the wings, watching the crew do final checks. Dorothy approached slowly. The cancer made her weak, but she was there. "Come here, baby." She pulled Maya into a hug. "I don't care what happens in the next hour. I'm already proud of you. You hear me?" Maya's voice was muffled against Dorothy's shoulder. "I love you, Grandma." "I love you too. Now go show them what Detroit girls are made of." 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The lights came up. 3.5 million people tuned in across the country. Maya walked onto that stage knowing one thing for certain. She'd given everything she had. The rest was up to the math. The studio was packed. 300 audience members. Cameras everywhere. The LED screen showed the live viewer count. 3.5 million. Sarah stood center stage. "Welcome to the MathGenius Live Finals. 2 contestants, 5 problems, 45 minutes. 1 winner takes home $500,000. Problem 1. Dr. Rodriguez. Simple geometry. Triangle inequalities. 8 minutes. Both Maya and Connor solved correctly. Score. Maya 1. Connor 1. Problem 2. Dr. Marcus Collins. Fibonacci numbers and prime factorization. 10 minutes. Both solved correctly. Connor finished 90 seconds faster. Score. Maya 2. Connor 2. In the commentary booth, Dr. Chang whispered, "Perfectly tied going into problem 3. Professor Dalton's turn." Sarah's voice was steady. "Professor Dalton, please present problem 3. Dalton stood. The studio went quiet. The Twitter feed showed nervous reactions flooding in. He spoke to the camera. "I'm giving both contestants the same problem. Completely fair. No favoritism whatsoever." He wrote on the LED screen. "Given. Set S equals 1, 2, 3, 100. Find the number of ways to choose a subset A such that 1. A contains exactly 10 elements. 2. Sum of elements is divisible by 7. 3. No 2 consecutive integers in A. Time limit, 12 minutes. The audience murmured. This was clearly brutal. Dr. Chang's voice in the commentary booth. "Graduate-level combinatorics. 3 simultaneous constraints. This is extremely difficult." Connor immediately started writing generating functions, complex formulas, his elite training showing. Maya stared at the problem. Didn't write. Her internal voice calculated. "Choose 10 from 100. with no consecutive numbers hard but doable. Sum divisible by 7 requires modular arithmetic. Combining both requires advanced techniques. 12 minutes. That's not enough time. 5 minutes in. Connor was writing fast, crossing things out, rewriting. Maya started slowly, checking something basic. Can this even be calculated exactly in 12 minutes? 8 minutes in. Connor wrote his final answer. 1,248,126. He set down his marker, confident. Maya was still working, clearly stressed. 10 minutes in. Maya stopped, looked at the problem, looked at Connor's board. She couldn't see his answer, but she could see he'd finished. She made a decision. Turned to Dalton. Professor Dalton, I don't think this problem can be solved exactly in 12 minutes. The audience gasped. Dalton raised his eyebrows. You're claiming my problem is unsolvable? No, sir. It has an answer. But calculating it requires either a computer or hours of manual work. In 12 minutes, I can only set up the methodology, not compute the final number. Twitter exploded. Is she giving up? No, Maya, don't quit. Believe in yourself. Dalton gestured toward Connor. Connor found an answer. He's finished. The camera showed Connor's board. Answer written clearly. 1,248,126. Dalton turned back to Maya. So perhaps the issue isn't the problem. Perhaps it's your preparation. Sarah read the rules. Maya, 2 minutes remaining. Final answer? Maya looked at her work. She could guess, but it would almost certainly be wrong. I have a methodology, but not the exact number. Professor Dalton, do you accept methodology as a partial answer? Mathematics requires exact answers. Connor provided one. Maya did not. Connor receives full points. Maya receives 0. The timer hit 0. The LED screen updated. Connor, 3 points. Maya, 2 points. Maya was losing. Dorothy in the audience, hands over her mouth, fighting tears. Twitter split. Too hard for 12 minutes, UN fair. Connor solved it, so it was fair. Dr. Chang, in the commentary booth. If Connor's answer is correct, it's genuinely impressive. But I'd need to verify these numbers get very large very quickly. Something bothered Maya about that problem. The way Dalton had said, completely fair. When someone like Dalton says fair, that's when you worry most. Problem 4. Audience choice. Selected by online vote. A probability problem appeared on screen. Moderately difficult but genuinely fair. 8 minutes. Both solved correctly. Score. Connor 4. Maya 3. 1 point gap. Everything came down to the final problem. Sarah's voice dropped dramatically. Problem 5. The Finals Showdown. Dramatic music. Lights dimmed except for spotlights on the 2 contestants. Both contestants will receive the same problem. First to solve correctly wins. 15 minutes. She paused. This problem comes from Dr. James Aldridge, professor of mathematics at... Dalton stood abruptly. I invoke my right as head judge. Everyone froze. The head judge has authority to present the final problem, if deemed necessary for competitive integrity. I'm exercising that right. Dr. Rodriguez objected immediately. That's highly unusual. But within the rules, Dalton interrupted. The producer rushed to Sarah, whispered urgently. She checked her tablet, face falling. He's correct. It's in the rule book. Twitter erupted. Number, rigged, trending. They're giving it to Connor. This is corruption. Dalton walked to center stage, picked up the stylus. He wrote on the LED screen. Solve for all x in the range 0, 100. X cubed is equivalent to 1, 5 mod, 101. Time limit. 15 minutes. First correct solution wins. Connor began immediately, writing rapidly. Maya stared. Cubic congruence. Modulo prime. This is what Rodriguez warned me about. Dalton's blind spot. For x cubed is equivalent to a mod p to have solutions, we need to check if A is a cubic residue. P equals 101. P. 1 equals 100. GCD 3. 100 equals 1. So, we need 15, 100 over 1 is equivalent to 1 mod 101. But that's true for any A by Fermat's little theorem. That doesn't tell us if 15 specifically is a cubic residue. Maya's hands shook. This was more complex than she'd prepared for. 6 minutes in, Connor was writing furiously, trying multiple approaches. Maya started hesitantly, testing individual values. X equals 1. 1 cubed equals 1 is not equal to 15. X equals 2. 8 is not equal to 15. She could test all 100 values, but that would take too long. 9 minutes in, Maya tried checking if 15 was a cubic residue, but she wasn't completely sure of the formula. The library book hadn't covered it clearly enough. 11 minutes in, Connor stopped, frowned, erased everything, started over. Maya was stuck. She had partial work but no clear path forward. 12 minutes in, Dr. Chang whispered, "Both contestants are struggling. This might be the hardest problem in the show's history." Maya's doubt spiral began. What if I'm missing something obvious? Connor had the best schools, the best teachers. They probably taught him things YouTube never covered. Maybe Dalton is right. Maybe I don't have the foundation. Her eyes filled with tears. Her breathing became rapid panic setting in. 13 minutes in, Maya set down her marker, started to raise her hand to withdraw. Dorothy saw it, knew what it meant. Dorothy stood up from her seat. Maya Marie Carter. Security started moving, but Sarah waved them off. Dorothy's voice carried across the studio. "Remember what I told you before your mama died?" Maya's tears were streaming now. "Grandma, Carter women don't quit. We fall 7 times. We get up 8. The studio went silent. Even Dalton didn't interrupt. Math doesn't care about fancy schools. Doesn't care about money. It cares about one thing. Is it true? She pointed at the screen. Look at the problem. Don't look at Connor. Don't look at Dalton. Look at the math. Ask yourself, is it true? Dorothy sat down, exhausted. Dr. Aldridge stood from the judge's table. "Richard," he said, his voice cutting through the tension. "Does this equation have a solution? Yes or no?" Silence. "Of course it does," Dalton said defensively. "Then, demonstrate one value of x that works." "The contestants should." "I'm not asking the contestants. I'm asking you. Give us one solution, just one." Dalton walked to the board, picked up a marker. He wrote, "X equals 53. Someone in the audience pulled out their phone calculator. 53 cubed equals 148,877. Everyone waited. 148,877 mod 101 equals? Dalton's face changed. Confusion. Then realization. He recalculated quietly. "Richard," Aldridge pressed, "what did you get?" Quietly, 92. The problem asks for 15. Is 92 equal to 15? Silence. "You gave an unsolvable problem," Aldridge said, his voice hard, and then claimed it had a solution. Maya's voice was small, but growing stronger. "There's no solution?" She grabbed her marker, started writing frantically. "To check if the equation has solutions, we need to verify if 15 is a cubic residue mod 101. If no x works, then there's no solution." She wrote Dalton's example. 53 cubed mod 101 equals 92 is not equal to 15. "I think this problem doesn't have an answer," Maya said, her voice gaining confidence. "That's why I couldn't find one." Connor looked up from his board. I couldn't either." I was trying to prove it's impossible. Dr. Rodriguez, check the rulebook. Judge accountability rule states, if any judge's problem contains a logical error or is genuinely unsolvable, and the judge claimed it was solvable, that judge will be penalized, and both contestants will be credited with points. Sarah read from her tablet, hands shaking slightly. Both Maya Carter and Connor Sterling are credited with full points for problem 3. The scores are revised. The screen updated. Connor, 4 minus 10 plus 10 equals 4 points. Maya, 2 plus 10 equals 12 points. Wait, that wasn't right. Sarah checked again. I'm sorry, let me recalculate. The producer rushed on stage, whispered urgently. Sarah's eyes went wide. Our verification team reviewed Connor's answer to problem 3. They found an error in his calculation. The camera cut to Connor. His face drained of color. The screen showed Connor's work with a red circle around line 8. Connor assumed the generating function for non-consecutive integers could be multiplied directly with the modulo 7 constraint. But the constraints interact, they can't be separated. His final number is incorrect. Dr. Rodriguez spoke carefully. If Connor's answer to problem 3 was incorrect, he shouldn't have received those points. Sarah checked the rulebook again. That's correct. Revise scores. The screen updated. Connor, 4 minus 10 equals negative 6. Wait, negative scores don't exist. Connor, 0 points for problem 3. Total. Connor, 4 points. Maya, 12 points. Silence. Then, by a score of 12-4, Sarah could barely contain her emotion. The winner of MathGenius Live and recipient of $500,000. She paused, tears in her eyes. Maya Carter. The audience exploded. Dorothy collapsed forward, sobbing. Other audience members were hugging, crying, screaming with joy. Confetti fell from the ceiling. Maya stood frozen for 3 full seconds, unable to process what had just happened. Then she ran, straight through the cameras, past the judge's table, into the audience, into her grandmother's arms. The camera captured them crying, holding each other so tightly it looked like they might never let go. Twitter broke records. Number Maya wins, trending globally. 5 million tweets in 10 minutes. Number Dalton exposed. Number 1 in 47 countries. After the celebration calmed slightly, Sarah brought Maya back to center stage. Maya, you just made history. What do you want to say? Maya was still crying, voice shaky, but she looked directly at Professor Dalton. I want to say to Professor Dalton, you said I didn't have a real foundation. That YouTube wasn't enough. That kids like me don't belong here. The studio went silent. But I found your mistake, not because I'm smarter than you, but because I learned to question everything, even experts. Dalton said nothing. His jaw was clenched so tight, it looked painful. Maya turned to face the camera. I want every kid watching who looks like me, or comes from where I come from, to know you do belong in math, in science, in any room they tell you isn't for you. The audience stood, applauding. Maya looked back at Dalton one more time. Professor, you tried to prove I wasn't good enough, but the math proved I was. Math doesn't lie. Thank you for teaching me that. Dalton stood slowly. For a moment, it seemed like he might just walk off stage without a word, but he didn't. His voice was tight, controlled. Congratulations, Miss Carter. He extended his hand. Maya shook it. He leaned in, whispered something only she could hear. Later, Maya would reveal what he said. You humiliated me. Maya's response, whispered back. No, sir. I just did the math. What made Maya's solution beautiful wasn't its complexity. It was its clarity. She took an unsolved problem that had stumped mathematicians for centuries, the twin prime conjecture, and explained it so clearly that a child could understand. That's not just intelligence. That's wisdom. Immediately after the win, backstage, Maya was surrounded by crew, producers, photographers. Dorothy sat nearby in a wheelchair, absolutely exhausted but beaming. Sarah approached with Dr. Aldridge. Maya, Dr. Aldridge has something to tell you. Aldridge smiled warmly. Maya, on behalf of the International Mathematics Institute at Cambridge, I formally invite you to our Young Mathematicians Residency Program. Maya was overwhelmed. What? Every year, we select 5 children worldwide who show exceptional promise. 1 year, working with leading researchers. All expenses paid, including comprehensive medical care for your family, through our partnership with Massachusetts General Hospital. Dorothy's eyes went wide. You mean Grandma's cancer treatment? Fully covered. Chemotherapy, surgery, medication, follow-up care, everything. Maya burst into tears all over again. Dorothy pulled her close, both of them crying. A producer approached Sarah, handed her a tablet. Sarah read it, looked up with tears in her eyes. Maya, there's more. She showed the screen. Official statement from MathGenius Live. After reviewing contestant elimination patterns over 3 seasons, we have identified systemic bias in our judging process. Effective immediately, Professor Richard Dalton has been removed from all future programming. We will implement blind judging protocols. All 24 contestants previously eliminated by Professor Dalton are invited to compete again with full scholarships. We apologize. Twitter exploded again. Number. Accountability matters trending. Another producer entered, out of breath. The National Mathematics Education Fund just called. They're creating a new program, the Maya Carter STEM Scholarship for underprivileged students. $500,000 per year. Maya's voice was tiny. They named it after me? You inspired it. Connor approached with his parents, who looked stern. Maya tensed. Connor extended his hand. Congratulations. You deserved it. Maya shook his hand carefully. You're really good too. Your work on problem 2 was amazing. Connor smiled genuinely this time. Yeah, but I got overconfident on 3. Made a stupid mistake. He glanced at his father. My dad's already calling MIT about that scholarship they offer, so I'll be okay. He looked back at Maya. But you're going to change things. Sarah handed Maya an envelope. This just arrived. Maya opened it. Inside, a check for $500,000 and a handwritten note. Maya, you proved something that mathematics can't measure. Courage matters. Persistence matters. Truth always wins. Use this money to save your grandmother. Get the education you deserve. Show the world what we saw tonight. Genius has no prerequisites. Congratulations, champion. The MathGenius team. The camera caught Professor Dalton leaving through a side door. Alone. No fanfare. A reporter tried approaching. Professor Dalton, do you have a statement about tonight? Dalton didn't stop. No comment. Do you regret how you treated Maya Carter? Dalton paused at the door. Didn't turn around. I regret underestimating her. He left. The door closed behind him. He never said sorry. Not really. But that admission was as close as someone like him could get. And it was enough. Because Maya didn't need his validation anymore. 3 months later, Washington Elementary School gymnasium. 500 students sitting cross-legged on the floor. Maya stood at a podium. She still needed a step stool to reach the microphone. A banner hung behind her. Welcome home, champion Maya. The principal introduced her. Please welcome our very own math superstar, Maya Carter. Applause filled the gym. Maya was still wearing her favorite hoodie now, covered in signatures from classmates. Hi, everyone. Her voice echoed slightly. 3 months ago, I was sitting right where you are, in Mrs. Patterson's class, solving math problems on scratch paper. I didn't have fancy tutors. I didn't go to a private school. I learned from YouTube, the library, and teachers who believed in me. She paused, looking across the sea of young faces. A lot of people told me I didn't belong on that stage. Too young, too poor. Kids like me don't win things like that. She let the words hang in the air. But here's what I learned. Math doesn't care about any of that. Math doesn't care if you're rich or poor, black or white, 8 years old or 80. It only cares about one thing. Are you right? She looked directly at the students. So, if you love math, or science, or art, or music, and someone tells you that's not for you, remember something. You belong anywhere your talent and hard work can take you. Don't let anyone tell you different. Thunderous applause. Maya raised her hand for quiet. One more thing. If you feel stuck, or scared, or like you don't know enough, that's okay. I felt that way on live TV in front of 3.5 million people. But you know what got me through? She leaned into the microphone. I didn't have to be perfect. I just had to keep trying, keep learning, keep asking why. She smiled. And if a 9-year-old from Detroit can beat a college professor on national TV using YouTube videos, imagine what you can do. A little girl in the front row raised her hand. Miss Maya? I like math too, but my brother says it's for boys. Should I quit? Maya stepped down from the podium, knelt to the girl's level. What's your name? Destiny. Destiny. You know who some of the best mathematicians in history were? Women. And there are more girls in top math programs now than ever before. Maya stage whispered. So, your brother is wrong. The gym erupted in laughter. Don't quit. Math is for everyone who loves it, including you. Destiny beamed. 6 months later, Cambridge. Maya sat in a research office, whiteboard covered in equations. Dr. Aldridge stood beside her, reviewing her work. Maya, what you've done with this proof approach is remarkable. You're thinking about the twin prime conjecture in ways I haven't seen before. Maya was focused on the board, marker in hand. Dr. Aldridge, if I solve this, if I actually prove it someday, can I send a copy to Professor Dalton? Aldridge raised his eyebrows. Why would you want to do that? So he knows I didn't just learn from YouTube. I learned how to think. She turned to face him. And maybe he'll learn something too. Before we go deeper, I would love to hear your point of view. Tell me what part hit you the hardest in this story, and share your thoughts in the comments. Dorothy's cancer went into remission after 6 months of treatment. The doctors said the prognosis was good, possibly years of healthy life ahead. They moved into a small apartment near Cambridge. Not fancy, but theirs. Clean, safe, warm. Every night before bed, Dorothy asked the same question. What did you learn today? And Maya would tell her. Not just about math, about life. 1 year later, Maya Carter, now 10 years old, did something that night that mathematics can't measure. She proved that talent doesn't require privilege, that genius isn't reserved for the wealthy or well-connected, that a girl from the East Side, armed with Wi-Fi and willpower, could stand on the biggest stage in the world and win, not because she was lucky, because she was good. The legacy. Age doesn't define brilliance. Circumstance doesn't limit potential. No equation is impossible when you're brave enough to question it. Final image. Maya stood at a blackboard in a Cambridge classroom, teaching a small group of younger students, a mix of ages, races, backgrounds, all watching her intently. Chalk doesn't care who's holding it, Maya said softly. A proof doesn't care who discovers it. Truth doesn't care who speaks it. She turned to face them. It only cares if it's right. Maya finished writing a proof on the board, then turned to the students. Who can spot the error in line 5? A shy boy in the back raised his hand hesitantly. Maya smiled. Yes. Come show us. Don't be scared. Mistakes are how we learn. The boy walked to the board, picked up the chalk. The camera held on his face, nervous but determined. Exactly how Maya had looked a year ago. Epilogue. Have you ever been underestimated? Ever been told you don't belong? Ever had someone try to prove you weren't good enough? And then you proved them wrong? Every kid deserves to know. You don't need permission to be brilliant. You just need courage. The professor who tried to humiliate a 9-year-old on live television, he's gone. But here's what nobody talks about. Maya almost gave up. At 13 minutes into that final problem, she was about to raise her hand and withdraw. She was convinced she wasn't good enough. It was her grandmother's voice that saved her. Not the math. The love. Think about how many kids like Maya are out there right now, learning from library books or free videos, being told they don't belong because they lack the right school, the right background, the right last name. But math doesn't care about your zip code. 2 + 2 = 4 in a mansion or a motel room. How many brilliant minds never get their chance? How many quit because people like Professor Dalton convince them they're not good enough? The truth. Maya Carter learned math from YouTube in a $40 motel room with spotty Wi-Fi and instant ramen for dinner, while Connor Sterling had elite tutors in a mansion. Professor Dalton eliminated 24 contestants over 3 seasons. 19 were people of color, 13 were women, 21 were from low-income families. The network kept him because ratings were high. Then a 9-year-old with a cracked phone screen did what nobody else could. She exposed the bias, proved the expert wrong, and won in front of 3.5 million people. Maya is now at Cambridge, researching advanced mathematics. That $500,000 saved her grandmother's life. Those 24 previously eliminated contestants are getting second chances. And somewhere right now, a kid is watching Maya's story and thinking, maybe I can do this too. Sometimes the person everyone dismisses changes everything. Final thought. Math doesn't lie. Neither does courage. 2 years after the win, Maya Carter, now 11 years old, published her first research paper. It wasn't in a prestigious journal, yet just a preprint on an academic server, but mathematicians around the world took notice. The paper explored a novel approach to understanding the distribution of twin primes. It didn't solve the conjecture nobody had in 2,000 years, but it offered a fresh perspective that made several senior researchers stop and think. Dr. Aldridge submitted it to a conference. It was accepted. Maya would be the youngest presenter in the conference's 70-year history. The MathGenius Live Reformation. After Maya's win, MathGenius Live underwent massive changes. New leadership, new rules, new culture. The changes included blind judging. Judges no longer saw contestants' backgrounds before creating problems. They received only contestant numbers. Diversity panel. A rotating panel of judges from different backgrounds, ensuring no single person had too much power. Contestant advocates. Each contestant got a faculty advisor to review challenge problems before they aired, checking for fairness. The Maya Carter Rule. Any problem given by a judge must be solvable by that judge on camera within the time limit, if challenged. The show's ratings initially dropped. Controversy drives viewership, and the new format was less dramatic. But something better happened. The quality of competition improved. More diverse contestants applied. The problems became genuinely interesting rather than psychologically manipulative. And 3 of the 24 previously eliminated contestants came back and won in subsequent seasons. Professor Richard Dalton. Where is he now? Dalton lost his position at MathGenius Live immediately. His university placed him on administrative leave, while they investigated complaints from former students. 14 students came forward, all describing similar experiences. Condescension, dismissiveness, being told they didn't belong. Dalton was not fired. Tenure protects professors, but he was quietly reassigned. No more teaching undergraduate courses. No more public-facing work. He published a statement 6 months after Maya's win. I have spent considerable time reflecting on my conduct. I recognize that my approach to teaching and evaluation created barriers for students rather than opportunities. I am committed to doing better. It wasn't an apology. Not really. But it was something. The Maya Carter STEM Scholarship. In its first 2 years, the scholarship funded 43 students from underprivileged backgrounds. 7 were studying mathematics. 12 were in engineering. 18 in computer science. 6 in physics. All of them had one thing in common. They'd been told at some point that they didn't belong. The scholarship didn't just provide money. It provided mentorship, community, proof that kids like them could succeed. At the second annual scholarship ceremony, Maya gave a speech. 2 years ago, I was in a motel room with broken Wi-Fi, trying to teach myself math from my phone. Today, there are 43 students here who won't have to struggle the way I did. She paused, looking across the room. But I want you to remember something. Even with this scholarship, it won't be easy. People will still doubt you. You'll still face barriers. You'll still have moments where you want to quit. Her voice strengthened. And in those moments, I want you to remember, you're not here because someone felt sorry for you. You're here because you're brilliant. You earned this. Don't ever let anyone make you forget that. Dorothy's health. Dorothy's cancer remained in remission. The doctors called it remarkable stage 3 lung cancer, with a 5-year survival rate of less than 20%. And she was thriving. She attributed it to 2 things: excellent medical care and having a reason to live. I had to stay alive to watch my grandbaby change the world, she'd say with a smile. Dorothy became a minor celebrity herself. She gave interviews about Maya's childhood, about teaching her to never give up, about the importance of believing in your kids even when the world doesn't. She started volunteering at Washington Elementary, working with students who struggled in math. My grandbaby proved that where you come from doesn't determine where you're going, she'd tell them. Now I'm going to make sure you believe it too. Connor Sterling, a redemption arc. Connor Sterling didn't fade into obscurity after losing to Maya. He enrolled at MIT at age 16, excelled in his studies, but something had changed in him. In interviews, he talked openly about that night. I lost to Maya because I got arrogant. I assumed my answer was right without checking it carefully. I assumed my expensive education guaranteed I was better than her. He paused. Maya taught me that math doesn't care about your tuition bill. It cares about whether you're right. That was the most valuable lesson I've ever learned. Connor and Maya stayed in touch. They weren't friends exactly, but they had mutual respect. He started a YouTube channel teaching advanced math, providing the kind of free, high-quality education Maya had used to teach herself. The channel's tagline, "Math for Everyone. No prerequisites required." It had 800,000 subscribers. The ripple effects. Maya's story inspired changes far beyond one TV show. In schools across America, teachers started showing clips of Maya's win to their students, especially girls and students of color, as proof that they belonged in STEM fields. In admissions offices, universities began reevaluating how they assessed potential, realizing that a student who'd taught themselves calculus from YouTube showed more initiative than a student who'd been handed private tutors. In living rooms, parents who'd never considered math or science for their daughters started encouraging them, started buying them math books, started believing in them. In research labs, professors became more conscious of their biases, more aware of how their words could crush or encourage young talent. One person's courage created countless ripples. Maya's message to the world. On the 2-year anniversary of her win, Maya posted a video on True Justice's YouTube channel. It went viral, 15 million views in 3 days. She sat in her Cambridge dorm room. No fancy production, just her and a webcam. 2 years ago, I won $500,000 on a math game show. People like to make it sound like a fairy tale poor girl beats the system, happily ever after. She shook her head. But that's not the real story. The real story is that I almost quit. The real story is that I cried myself to sleep the night before the finals because I was so scared. The real story is that I only won because my grandmother wouldn't let me give up. She leaned closer to the camera. So if you're watching this, and you're struggling, if you feel like you're not smart enough, not good enough, not whatever enough, I need you to hear this. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave enough to try anyway. Her voice softened. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the thing even when you're terrified. She smiled slightly. 2 years ago, I was terrified, and I did it anyway. You can too. The question that matters. Here's what this story is really about. How many Maya Carters are out there right now, sitting in libraries or motel rooms, teaching themselves from free resources, convinced they'll never get a real chance? How many brilliant minds are we losing because they don't have the right last name or the right zip code? How many kids are being told explicitly or implicitly that they don't belong? The answer: too many. But Maya proves something important. The barriers are real, but they're not insurmountable. Talent exists everywhere. Opportunity doesn't. And when we give talented kids opportunity, real opportunity, not just lip service, they don't just succeed. They soar. 3 years later, the full circle moment, Maya was invited back to MathGenius Live, not as a contestant, but as a guest judge. She was 12 years old, the youngest judge in the show's history. She sat at that same table where Professor Dalton had once sat, where he'd dismissed so many talented kids, where he'd tried to destroy her. And she created problems that were challenging but fair. Problems designed to let contestants show their brilliance, not their trauma. After the episode aired, someone asked her, how did it feel, sitting in Dalton's old seat? Maya thought carefully before answering. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like responsibility. All those kids watching kids who look like me, who come from where I come from, they're seeing that someone like them can be in this position. She paused. So I'd better use it to build them up, not tear them down. Final words from Maya. In her most recent interview, Maya was asked, what do you want your legacy to be? She didn't hesitate. I want kids to know that I can't is usually just, I haven't learned how yet. And that's okay. You're not supposed to know everything. You're supposed to be curious enough to figure it out. She smiled. That's all I did. I didn't know how to solve those problems, so I learned. I didn't know if I belonged, so I proved it. One equation at a time. The truth that changed everything. Math doesn't lie. Neither does courage. And when a 9-year-old girl with a cracked phone screen and a dying grandmother stands up in front of 3.5 million people and refuses to quit, she doesn't just win a game show. She proves that genius has no prerequisites, that brilliance doesn't require permission, that the only thing standing between potential and achievement is opportunity and courage. Maya had both, and she changed everything. This is the story of Maya Carter, a 9-year-old who taught herself mathematics from YouTube videos, who lived in a motel room with spotty Wi-Fi, who almost gave up, who didn't. This is the story of how courage defeated arrogance, how truth defeated prejudice, how a child with nothing but determination proved that she belonged. If this story moved you, I need you to do something. Hit that like button. Let the algorithm know that stories like Maya's deserve to be heard. Subscribe to True Justice. We tell stories about people who refused to accept the world's limitations, people who fought back, who stood up, who changed things. Share this video. There's a kid out there right now who needs to hear Maya's story, who needs to know that they belong, that they're good enough, that they can do this. And drop a comment below. Tell me, have you ever been underestimated? Have you ever been told you don't belong? What did you do? Did you prove them wrong? Or are you still fighting? I read every single comment. Your story matters. One last thing. If you're a young person watching this, especially if you're from a neighborhood like Maya's, if you're teaching yourself from free resources, if you've been told you're not good enough, you are good enough. You do belong. And the world needs what you have to offer. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Thank you for watching True Justice. Until next time, keep fighting, keep learning, keep proving them wrong. Because math doesn't lie. And neither does courage.